Let's be real for a second. You've checked your phone, what, 5, maybe 10 times in the last hour? It's Valentine's Day. The world outside is performing its annual ritual of romance. Flowers, chocolates, the hard launch of couples on Instagram who pretend they don't fight in public. And you? You're sitting there, staring at a blank screen, waiting for a text from someone who barely knows you exist. That knot in your stomach, that tight, anxious vibration that won't go away, you've convinced yourself it's love. You tell yourself, the connection is just so intense, they're my twin flame. The timing is just off. I'm going to be the one to tell you the truth, because your friends are too nice to say it. That isn't love. It's a psychological glitch, a biological error code called limerence. And right now, you are not a person in love. You are an addict going through withdrawal. You are a gambler sitting at a rigged slot machine, feeding it your time, your dignity, and your sanity, hoping for a jackpot that is mathematically impossible to hit. In this video, we aren't just going to talk about getting over it. We are going to perform a psychological autopsy on why you fall for people who hurt you. We're going to look at the neuroscience of addiction, the Jungian shadow, and the childhood wounds that programmed you to chase unavailability. This is going to hurt. It's going to be surgery without anesthesia. But if you listen to the end, you might just get your life back. Chapter 1. The diagnosis. Love versus limerence. First, we have to define the enemy, because limerence looks like love, feels like love, but it destroys like a virus. Psychologist Dorothy Tenov coined the term in the 70s, but honestly, humanity has been suffering from it for centuries. We used to call it lovesickness, now we call it being down bad or stuck in a situationship. Here is the checklist. If you check more than 3 of these, you are infected. 1. The glimmer. You meet them, and instantly there's this massive spike of anxiety that you mistake for chemistry. Your hands shake, your heart races. You think, wow, this must be the one. Biology check, that isn't your soul recognizing a mate. That is your nervous system recognizing a threat. That is your cortisol spiking because this person feels familiar to a past trauma. You aren't seeing a partner, you're seeing a ghost. 2. Intrusive thoughts. This is the hallmark of limerence. You cannot turn them off. You're at work, you're driving, you're trying to sleep, and their name is playing on a loop in your head. You rehearse conversations that haven't happened yet. You replay conversations that happened 3 weeks ago, analyzing every comma and emoji. Why did they use the blue heart instead of the red one? You aren't living your life anymore. You're living in a simulation of them. 3. The halo effect. In limerence, the limered object, that's the clinical term for your crush, can do no wrong. They ignore you? Oh, they're just busy with work. They treat you like garbage? Oh, they have a fearful avoidant attachment style. They're just scared of intimacy. You become their PR agent. You spin their neglect into a tragedy to justify why you're staying. 4. Emotional dependency. Your entire mood for the day depends on their validation. If they text you, "Good morning," you're on top of the world. You're productive, you're hitting the gym, you're glowing. But if they leave you on red, you crash. You can't focus. You feel physically sick. You have handed the remote control of your emotional state to someone who doesn't even know how to use it. Real love is boring. It's safe. It's mac and cheese on a Tuesday. It regulates your nervous system. It calms you down. Limerence is a roller coaster. It's high highs and hellish lows. And the reason you can't get off the ride is because you are addicted to the drop. Chapter 2. The neuroscience. The dopamine trap. Let's get under the hood. Why does your brain do this? You're smart. You have goals. Why does your primitive brain hijack your logic over some guy named Kyle who doesn't have a bed frame? It's the dopamine. We think of dopamine as the pleasure molecule. That is a lie. Dopamine is the pursuit molecule. It's the chemical of wanting, not having. And nothing, and I mean nothing, spikes dopamine harder than uncertainty. In the 1950s, B.F. Skinner did a famous experiment with pigeons. Group A pecked a button and got food every time. They pecked it when they were hungry, then they stopped. They were chill.
Group B pecked a button, but the food only came sometimes. Maybe the third peck, maybe the 20th, randomly. Do you know what happened to Group B? They went insane. They packed the button until their beaks broke. They ignored their babies. They ignored sleep. They became obsessed with the button. This is you. If your crush texted you back instantly every single time, you'd actually get bored. You'd get the ick. It'd be too easy. But because they ignore you for 6 hours and then send a breadcrumb, your brain treats it like a jackpot. It's called intermittent reinforcement. The silence creates a dopamine deficit. The text creates a dopamine flood. The pain of the silence makes the relief of the text feel 100 times better than it actually is. You aren't addicted to the person. You are addicted to the relief from the pain they are causing you. It's a closed loop. They break your leg and then offer you a crutch, and you thank them for being a healer.
This is why nice guys, or safe girls, finish last. They offer consistent reinforcement.
They are Group A. Your traumatized brain looks at consistency and says, boring, no dopamine here. You are biologically wired to chase the things that run away from you. Chapter 3, The Root, Childhood and Attachment. Now we have to go deeper. Why you? Why do some people experience a breakup and just move on? Well, you are obsessing for 18 months. It's not because you love deeper. It's because your wound is older. Limerence is almost always a symptom of anxious attachment, and anxious attachment is born in childhood. Imagine a child whose parent was inconsistent. Sometimes mom was loving and warm, other times she was cold, depressed, or angry. The child learns a terrifying lesson. Love is fragile. Love can disappear at any second. I have to perform. I have to be perfect. I have to monitor the emotional temperature of the room just to survive. 20 years fast forward, you meet someone who is emotionally unavailable. Your conscious brain says, run. But your subconscious brain says, wait, I know this. This feels like home. Freud called this repetition compulsion. We recreate the trauma of our childhood in our adult lives, hoping that this time we can fix it. You are subconsciously trying to get the unavailable partner to love you, because if you can win them over, you can retroactively heal the child who couldn't win over their parent. You think you're fighting for a relationship. You're actually fighting for your childhood survival. There's also the fantasy bond. When real connection is missing, the brain fills the gap with fantasy. The more they pull away, the more space there is for your imagination to fill in the blanks. You aren't in love with who they are. You don't even know who they are. You're in love with the potential of who they could be if they just got their acts together. But potential is not reality. You are dating a ghost. Chapter 4, The Golden Shadow, Jungian Psychology. This is the most important part of the video. If you get this, you win. Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist, had a concept called the shadow. Usually we think of the shadow as the dark stuff, our rage, our greed, our jealousy. But Jung said there's also a golden shadow. The golden shadow is where you hide your light, your power, your creativity, your boldness. Maybe when you were a kid, you were loud and confident, and someone told you to shut up or be humble. So you shoved that confidence into the basement of your psyche. You disowned it. But here is the rule of the psyche. What you disown in yourself, you will worship in others. This is the mechanism of limerence. You meet someone who embodies the exact trait you repressed in yourself. If you're repressed and rigid, you would obsess with someone who is wild and chaotic. If you're insecure and quiet, you will obsess with someone who is arrogant and loud. You aren't looking at them, you're looking into a mirror. You're projecting your own golden shadow onto them. You think they are the source of that magic. You think if I can just be with them, I will become whole. I will get that magic too. This is why the breakup feels like a death. When they leave, they don't just take their physical body. They take your gold with them. They take the missing piece of your soul that you pasted onto their face. You feel empty not because you lost a partner, but because you lost your access to yourself. This is why you can't let go. To let go of them feels like letting go of your own potential. But here's the secret. They never had the gold. It was yours the whole time. You were just using them as a movie screen to project it onto them. Chapter 5, The Protocol, How to Detox. So how do we kill the parasite? How do we wake up from the limerence coma? Mouse people try to think their way out of it. They analyze the texts, they watch tarot readings on YouTube, they talk to their friends for hours. This feeds the beast. Attention is the currency of limerence. You cannot think your way out of a feeling. You have to act your way out. Step 1. Radical starvation. No contact 2.0. You know the rule, no contact, but you're doing it wrong. No contact doesn't just mean not texting them. It means removing them from your visual cortex. Every time you look at their Instagram story, you are microdosing the drug. You are resetting the withdrawal clock to day 0. You have to block, mute, delete the number. But that's so mean. But I want to leave the door open. Shut the door. Lock it. Throw away the key. You are not keeping a door open for love. You are keeping a door open for pain. You have to starve the dopamine pathway until it atrophies.
Being alone on Valentine's Day is not a failure. It is a massive tactical advantage. While everyone else is out there distracting themselves with cheap romance and performative dinners, you have the chance to do the real work. You have the chance to break a generational cycle of trauma. You have the chance to look at your shadow in the mirror and say, I see you, I own you, and I don't need anyone else to carry it for me. So put the phone down. Stop waiting for the vibration. The text isn't coming, and if it does, it's just a breadcrumb. You don't eat crumbs. You are starving for a banquet, and you're trying to get full of dust. Stand up. Reclaim your gold. Starve the parasite. And remember, the only person who is going to be with you from the moment you take your first breath to the moment you take your last is you. Start acting like you're the love of your own life. If you're ready to do the work, hit the subscribe button. We don't do comforting lies here. We do the truth. Welcome to the shadow self.